folks, welcome back to our channel. Today we're taking a look at the Bianco Nero Tarot. So this is done by Marco Prieto. Pardon me if I'm saying his name incorrectly. It's a really nice deck. It's a black and white deck actually, as the name suggests, Bianco Nero, and it's done by US Games, made in Italy, all that good stuff. So it just comes in this, I'll show the side of the box, there we go. Just a pretty standard little tuck box here, and I'll quickly show the little things it comes with. So we have our two little about the artist cards and such things. Here is the back. It's a really nice card back, fully reversible. Check mark on that. And then this is the little guidebook that comes with it. It's not a bad little guidebook. I hadn't actually read it before doing this video, so before I started, I just went and flipped through it. I don't really have any problems with it other than just generic issues I have with reversed meanings in little white books, but it's a little white book nonetheless, and I think it actually is really quite well written. And then it's got a cute little spread at the back there that's actually, I think with a little bit of tweaking, could be actually a pretty nice little spread. So anyways, we're not here to talk about the book, we're here to talk about the deck. These are just the majors that I've got separated out here, so I did show the back. This is, yeah, like I said, it's a black and white deck. It's, I don't know, I've never really been big into black and white decks, but I was really drawn to this one. I found it at a local metaphysical store and I picked it up, and I'm actually really happy that I did because it's a beautiful deck. So as we do the videos here, I'm going to turn on some nice music. We're going to flip through the cards, and then I'll come in at the end and tell you how I think it reads, differences between the Rider-Waite deck, etc., etc. So, all right, great. Let's take a look at the cards. awesome. So as you can see, at least in my opinion, it's a rather saucy deck, you know. We've got a whole host of different outfits in people, although we kind of see like on a lot of the women this sort of dress. I don't know, I see her, I think she was also in the Temperance card. Where are we at? Hope I'm remembering that right. Yeah, kind of a thing. We see, yeah, Justice, I think, was more the one I was thinking of. A very similar sort of a dress style we have among a few of our different ladies here. There were a couple things I wanted to, oh yeah, and interesting, the little, I don't know, bandeau top sort of a deal that you have. So I mean, that's another cute kind of element that you'll see kind of flipping through the different court cards and the various suits, I guess, throughout the different cards. But it's honestly my original thoughts on this deck. I really like it. I haven't done a whole host of readings with it, but I would say, I don't know, I've done enough to know that I really do like this deck. It reads very well. For that reason, I would say it makes an excellent deck number 2 kind of a thing. I would even recommend this sort of as a beginner's deck, but because we usually recommend the, you know, Rider-Waite-Smith kind of a deck, I would offer this as a really good choice if you're sort of wanting to get a good second deck that you can still read with really well, but it also offers enough that it's actually in many ways quite different. So okay, so before I dive too heavily into that, there's just a few things that, like, so if we didn't have sort of the titles here, I mean, he looks more like the King of Pentacles to me, but when I first saw him, when I was just putting my deck in order and I wasn't really looking at what I was saying, I kind of thought he was the King of Pentacles. We've got his little crown up there. What else did I want to say? Oh, the Six of Cups. Very interesting little Six of Cups. I don't know what's going on with his face, but I don't know that I totally trust this child. Maybe we do. Is he gonna, you know, do that thing where he pulls the cup away from the little kid at the last second? I don't know. And when I just kind of first glanced at this, I kind of thought that he was holding this one behind his back, which of course he's not. He's got both his hands here. But there are a few cards that really I found had a very different feel than our regular, you know, our standard, not regular, the standard Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So I guess I could pull this one up. You know, most folks are likely familiar with the Ten of Wands. And of course, it's going to probably be the very last card. I just wanted to add this in as I was going through. And I probably, there we go. All right, cool. So here's why I'm kind of saying it would be a good, you know, kind of second deck sort of a thing, because we do conserve a lot of the Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism, structure, ideas, themes, all that kind of stuff. But this is a really good example, I think, of where these cards are super different. This guy is kind of, you know, holding the whole stack with one hand, no problems on the open road. So it gives a very different feel, of course, from our hanging on to everything for dear life, working his tail off, Ten of Wands. The other card I wanted to bring up, just because I really like the way they did it, was actually the Three of Swords. I love how it's an anatomical heart. I think that's really beautiful, as opposed to just the standard. That standard, just the, you know, your regular old Rider-Waite-Smith that has the rather cartoony little heart. Let's pull that up again. Holy apologies about this, folks, but I'm sure again, yeah, there we go. So there is in many ways like a little bit of extra detail in these cards. It's really beautiful. I know a lot of folks maybe aren't drawn to working with black and white decks because, I mean, I myself use color a lot in my reading, so it's very important to kind of follow the color palette and see what's happening. I think it adds a lot of depth, but I was honestly very surprised the day I was drawn to picking up a black and white deck, and I loved it. I find it's very, I don't know, I think it gives very crisp and clear readings. It works really well for things sort of like for relationship dynamics and stuff like that. Not just in, of course, like love relationships, but I do find it lends itself really well to like any sort of interpersonal relationship kind of a thing. This death card, I don't know. I do like him. I think he's very cool. I like the whole skeleton, his massive, you know, spirally sight thing here behind him. But it just, like, in comparison to some of the cards that really went all out, yeah, in terms of like a background, it's quite, blank, I guess, but I do like it. Like, I don't have a problem with it. That's another thing I liked about this deck too, is that sort of spirally, kind of reminds me almost like a Nightmare Before Christmas kind of a thing. We see that a couple of times throughout the deck, and it's got some really quirky little things about it. Is there another one I was thinking of? I'm not sure there, but I really like here too, sort of in the Empress and the Emperor, how they're given an equal status, an equal seat sort of a thing. We don't have the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith where she's got her, you know, her box of chocolates and her pillows and all the things. Like, they are both, I find, like, very strong ruling characters in this deck, both staring straight at you. I really like having that, you know, counterpart, consort thing, the dynamic between these two. I like that it's shown, I guess, very, very clearly here in this deck, so I think hats off to that. Was it on? Oh yeah, there we go. There's another little squirrely. And look at the eye of the Fool. I don't know if he looks like, sorry, I got my little cat hair on there. If he looks almost like strung out. I don't know what's going on with him. He's very cool. But again, the facial expressions in this deck are honestly fantastic. There's a lot going on, like in the way that they're looking at each other in readings, the way the cards play with each other. It's really a stunning deck. If you're wanting to dip your toes into a black and white deck, oh, and here, and I love, you know me, loving octopus. I love that we have the huge octopus here on the King of Cups. But another thing I've seen somewhere, someone had a problem with, or had something to say, shall we say, about like the women in the deck being, I don't know, they're not in a ton of clothes, a lot of them. I don't know, I don't personally have a problem with that. I don't really associate nudity with sexual nature all the time, so like I don't, you know, whatever. I didn't really notice that until I had read that about this deck, because I think it's fairly balanced, right? Like, it's not just the women who are kind of bearing parts of their body, you know. We do see it like almost, no, he's got pants on. Anyway, it's a really, really lovely deck. It reads super well. Now that I've kind of done the flip through, I can just show as well. It shuffles excellently. The cardstock is a little bit thinner. You know, this is just the traditional, not the traditional, the Centennial Smith-Waite deck, which is very hard to kind of see, but the cardstock is a little bit thinner. It does shuffle super well. It's really snappy, yeah, I would call this kind of like a gloss finish on there. Same size as that deck as well. Yeah, shuffles really, really well. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton more to say. I could do certainly a side-by-side comparison flip-through video with the Rider-Waite deck, should anyone be interested. But apart from that, I think it's a really easy read if you are familiar with, oh yeah, there we go again. It's beautiful. It's a really easy read if you're familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith structure, to go ahead and pick up this deck and just read with it. I find it can handle the harsh topics really well, put it that way. It doesn't shy away. It's in no way a soft deck. So yeah, that's kind of my recommendation on this one. Thank you very much for watching, and let me know your thoughts below. Do you guys have black and white decks? Do you like black and white decks? Have you seen this deck before? Do you like it? We always like to hear from you guys. And let us know if you have any recommendations for decks you'd like us to review. Great, thanks a lot, and have a great rest of your day.